Is this video in real time?
Yes, there's no edits whatsoever. There's no edits. Definitely, it's in real time.
No jump cuts.
Definitely. Hello, James, probably in chat. You
no
saw
jump
it.
cut.
You
No
saw
jump
it.
cuts.
Are you named James? Because it seems like it's real time. This is edited.
That might have been the dumbest intro I've ever done.
Yeah, 100% that was. I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We're the Brothers Murph, and sometimes a script is better, you know? Sometimes it's better to be on a script.
Sometimes you gotta edit some stuff, and that's okay. It's okay. I'm Nick. We're the Brothers Murph. We're gonna talk about our favorite real-time games. If you didn't pick it up by now, these are games that have some kind of real-time element, which means things are happening at the same time.
A timer is ticking down.
You're on some kind of timer. Everyone's doing things at the same time. You're doing things all simultaneously. Real-time games are really, really fun. Add a bit of stress to games a lot of times because
not for the faint of heart.
Gotta get it done. So these are our top 10 real-time games.
So number 10 real-time game is Sorcerer City. This is something that we always bill as real-time Carcassonne, where you are going to be assembling a city of all these square tiles with these different colors that are going to pertain to kind of 3 different tracks that you'll be moving up in the game. Or 4 colors, I should say. And you're gonna assemble this thing as fast as you can. You only have a certain amount of time to do this. And what gets thrown in, because it's a Sorcerer City, you're trying to build like a magical city, there are monsters and dragons and things that might pop up as you play the game that make you have to burn tiles, rearrange your city. And you're trying to ultimately build as big a groups as you can of the same colors, because if you build the same group of color stuff, you get to count all the shields and stuff. You can move up in your kind of influence, your money, victory points, your magic, which is kind of a wild resource that'll convert into one of the other ones. And with that money, you'll buy new tiles, and with your influence, you can get these amazing bonuses each round. And your victory points, of course, are your victory points, which are very necessary to win the game. And then you'll tear down your city and rebuild it again with now a kind of a bigger stack of tiles every round. So we really enjoy the ramp up. Where in the first round, it's not hard to put all your tiles out. There's only so many you have. But then after you buy a few things, that's a little harder now. And then you have some monsters that are messing stuff up, and you have no more time to try to assemble your city. So the challenge becomes more and more difficult. And it's just really fun to kind of do that Carcassonne, try to make landscapes and stuff match, but have the pressure of time. So that's number 10, Sorcerer City.
Our number 9 favorite real-time game is a game called Magic Maze. There's also one, is it Magic Maze on Mars? There's also one that's in space. But Magic Maze is a cooperative real-time game where you are fantasy people, fantasy races like elves and dwarves and stuff in a mall, like stealing stuff. It's honestly one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in the game, but it's really, really fun. This is a real-time game where everyone is moving around the different characters on the board, but each player can only move things in a certain direction. So if you're playing like a 4-player game, it'll be like, I can move things right, Mike can move things left, Lincoln can move things forward, Nikki can move things back, that kind of thing. And so no one is one of these characters, but you are constantly moving around these characters and you're trying to get to these different spots depending on what scenario you're playing. They all have different setups and different things you're going to try and do, but you have to, you're moving all these pawns and you're on a timer. And again, I am the only one who can move things right. So I have to be like, oh, I'll move here. And then there's a big red pawn that you can like tap in front of someone saying like, hey, we need you to move stuff. And it's so stressful because you get like, wait, what do you need me to move? What? I don't see what you need me to move. Oh gosh, I need to move this here. Boom, and then someone else can move it there. And it's just this really interesting way to go about real-time cooperativeness. And on top of that, as I'm sure you can understand, you can't talk during it. You can't say like, hey, Mike, I need you to do this. You just have to do this all in silence. And you're constantly trying to move. It's really, really fun. It's really, really tough. And then the space one is even funner because there's even more stuff going on, but it doesn't necessarily make it more difficult. It's really, really fun. It's a big, crazy, chaotic game. Magic Maze is an absolute blast. It's our number 9.
So number 8 is a game called Stay Cool. This is a game all about multitasking. You are trying to do several things at once. You are trying to answer questions that someone is firing at you by using these dice that have letters on them. You're going to be giving a forward answer to the questions that are asked. You also have someone else asking questions of you, and you need to verbally respond to those questions. So it's all about trying to split your brain and do multiple things at once. It's just a really silly game. We have a bunch of people shouting at you kind of these different things, and you're trying to just stay cool while you do it. And then in subsequent rounds, you have added layers of challenge, like the timers, and the time gets shorter and the rules get more kind of constrictive. It's just a really fun, really unique game that kind of tests you in a way of kind of doing like the, you know, pat your head and shake your stomach thing. Like the multitask is just something that we're not really great at doing, and you find yourself answering the questions you're supposed to write and writing the questions you're supposed to answer out loud. And it's just really, really fun to kind of have people assail you with these random trivia questions stuff. That is Stay Cool number 8.
Number 7 is a game that, honestly, I was very surprised at how much fun we had with it, and that is Cuphead Fast Rolling Dice Game. Fast Rolling Dice Game is really, really fun. It is a fast rolling dice game, as I'm sure you can understand from the title of the game. This is a real-time game where you are playing Cuphead. Cuphead is a video game, if you didn't know. It's kind of like Betty Boop art style. Really, really cool game, the video game. And this game is also really, really fun. And this game is all about boss battles. That's pretty much the whole thing. In the video game, it's kind of like a mix between boss battles and then kind of like run and guns. But the board game here is all about boss battles. And so you are taking on these bosses and you're kind of going through their different phases. Some bosses in Cuphead will be like different bosses, that kind of like weaker ones and then kind of middle ones and then big ones. And the other ones just have multiple kind of big crazy phases. And you're going through them all. And each round, you're only gonna have like 10 or 15 seconds and you're gonna be rolling these dice like crazy fast, crazy fast, crazy fast. And you're trying to get a certain symbols that are on these boss cards that are essentially gonna allow you to overcome those cards. If you don't overcome them, if you don't roll what you need to roll, you're gonna get hit, you're gonna get damaged, and you can die. And that's not good, because if you die, and everyone's out. But so the game is this kind of mix between like craziness for like 15 seconds and then kind of like a, whoo, okay, let's bring out the new stuff. Okay, what do we need to get? What do we need to get? Okay, let's go, bam. And then you go again and go again and go again. And it's really, really fun. And in Cuphead, there's all these different kinds of bosses. And so in this game too, there's all these different kinds of bosses, and then each boss is gonna kind of change up the way you play. One of them is a kind of dragon up in the sky, and so you're having to actually stack your dice, because in the video game, you're jumping from like cloud platform to cloud platform to cloud platform. So this one kind of simulates that. It's really, really fun, an absolute blast. Again, kind of a campaign game where you're like opening up boxes and stuff like that. It's a really good time, really fun, real-time game that we like a lot. That's Cuphead Fast Rolling Dice Game.
Number 6 is Pictomania. This is a drawing game that we really, really enjoy, because it's not about being just the greatest artist of all time, because in this game, it's really about being fast. You want to be fast and draw your whatever your thing might be as quick as you can, because the sooner you finish drawing, the sooner you can start guessing what everyone else is drawing, which is going to give you more points. However, it's important that whatever you draw is something that people can guess, because if everyone can't get your drawing, you're going to lose points there. So I love the idea of like, be as fast as you can, but still get the idea across that you need people to get. You can't just forego your own drawing for the sake of guessing everyone else's, but if you take too long drawing every last detail, you're gonna kind of run out of time to guess everyone else's drawing. So I think that's just a really fun thing to play with. This game also has a great ramp up, where in the first round, the categories for clues are gonna be very broad, very different from each other. You might have like a category that's sports, and it might be basketball and highlight and other things that are very known. But if you get into a later round, you might have like bar, saloon, tavern, and you're like, how do I differentiate between those three things? You know, like those are very similar. And so it gets harder and harder and harder, but it always comes down to balancing speed of drawing and accuracy of drawing. It's wonderful if that's Pictomania.
Number 5 is Battleship on steroids, and that is Captain Sonar. Captain Sonar is a real-time game where you are playing essentially like Battleship on steroids, where it's a team game, and you have this big old divider, this big like accordion divider down the middle of the table, and you have 4 people on one side, 4 people on the other side in a full game. And you really do want a full game of this if you can get it. And every single person has a different role. There is the captain, which is basically saying out loud what direction you're going, north, south, east, west, saying where your submarine is going. There is like kind of like the, I can't remember, is it first mate or something like that, but they are essentially listening to the other captain, and they have their own board. They're trying to figure out where the captain's going. Okay, they went left, left, left. Well, okay, they can't be here because then they would be off the map. So you're trying to deduce where they are. And then there's the engineer that's basically trying to fix a whole bunch of broken stuff. It's just really, everyone has their own little roles. And some of them are a little bit more intensive than other roles. So people who are a little shyer can kind of be like the engineer where you're just trying to fix stuff and saying, we can't, like, fire torpedoes. You're like, we can't, it's broken. Oh crap, okay, we need to go this way to try and fix that. It's really, really fun, but it's all real time where everyone is doing this on their side. And you're all doing it at the same time. And a couple times throughout the game, you can stop for them to essentially try and find out where the other team is. They go, stop, are you at this spot? Yes or no, boom, you're hit or you're not hit. And then you keep going again. And it's ridiculously fun. This is very, very much a convention game. You want to play this with a big group, hopefully at a convention. You really, really want at least 6, but you realistically want 8 people playing the game. The first time we played this, it was one of the best gaming experiences we ever had. It was absolutely bonkers, and it's really, really fun. It's kind of just this ridiculous battleship on steroids, as we said before. That is our number 5. Let's go ahead and get number 4.
Number 4 is a game that only takes 10 minutes to play. It's Fuse. There is a bomb that is gonna go off, and there's a timer that is counting down. You have to defuse various bombs, actually, in order to win. You only have that 10 minutes. This is a game where you're gonna be rolling out dice, and then everyone has to take a die and put it onto one of their cards. And the cards have different rules. You can only maybe sometimes take certain numbers. We have to put numbers in an ascending or descending order. You have to build a pyramid with things. There's all sorts of different rules for how the cards will get diffused by taking those dice, and you have to take something if you can. So everyone is shouting at everyone else to say, I need that die specifically, don't give me this over here. And you have to kind of figure it out, and you don't want to take too much time because there's only 10 minutes and then the thing goes kaboom. There's a great app that counts it down for you, and you can turn on a mode where like the voice is gonna kind of talk smack to you and say like, get it together, you gotta hurry up and things like that. So it kind of adds to the atmosphere and the kind of panic that happens with the game if you're into that kind of thing. But Fuse is really fun. There's some dexterity elements about not knocking your dice over, and it just makes it so hard when you're under the gun time-wise to like be really precise with everything. So it's just really fun. You're rolling dice all over the place. Everyone's snagging things from each other, and it's just kind of chaos. It's wonderful. That is Fuse.
Number 3 is a new game by John D. Clair, and this is Ready, Set, Bet. And this is a horse racing game, but you're not actually racing the horses. You are just betting on who you think is going to win the race. There's a big kind of, it looks like a roulette table kind of big betting board. And then there is someone running the horses, or the horses are also gonna be run by an app as well if you don't want someone to run the horses. And they're gonna be rolling out a die, and whatever die rolls, that horse is gonna move. So if they roll a 7, the 7 horse moves. They roll a 3, the 3 horse moves. But then if they roll that same horse again, that horse moves and then gets a bonus movement. And then as the horses are moving, and they're going fast, like boom, 3's moving, boom, 4 is moving, boom, 10's moving, boom, 10 moving again, 10's moving again, boom, and you keep going over and over and over. And then everyone else is like deciding who they're gonna bet on. Okay, I'm gonna bet on 5. Oh gosh, oh no, 7's going ahead. Okay, I'm gonna bet on 7. And you're just trying to bet out. You only have a certain amount of chips you can bet with, of course. And so eventually it gets to the point where everyone's throwing down all their bets, and everyone, excuse me, is just watching the race and is just screaming at the top of their lungs, trying to will the horse they want to win to get across the finish line first. It is so much fun because you have no ability to change. You can't like hobble one of the horses or anything like that. There's nothing you can do to make a horse go faster, but everyone just gets, you watch other people play this, you're like, I'm not gonna be one of those people who's like yelling and cheering for horses, and then you get into it and you just cannot help yourself. you're just yelling, go number 4, go number 4, go number 4. And then of course, the horses that are like 11 or 12 or 2 or 3, they pay out way, way better than like the 7 horse. The 7 horse has the best chance of winning because 7 comes up more often on dice. It is so much fun. There's always these kind of like VIP bets you can do, supplemental bets. It's an absolute blast. Ready, set, bet is so much fun.
Number 2 is kites. This is a game all about trying to keep your kites in the air and managing a bunch of timers, sand timers to be specific, and you're playing out cards to keep those sand timers with sand in them. If sand ever runs out of the timer, that is representing your kite coming crashing down, party over, no one likes you anymore. So we don't want that to happen. On your turn, you're gonna have a hand of cards, you're gonna play them. Some will have 1 or more colors on them, and whatever color or colors you play down on that card, you're gonna flip over those sand timers. So it might have a card that has blue and orange, you will flip over the blue and orange sand timers. Everyone has to play in turn going around and around, and so what you're doing is all trying to monitor these sand timers that have different amounts of sand in them, and therefore some need to be flipped over more regularly. There will also be more cards with that color on them. And you're kind of shouting out, hey, blue's getting low, hey, yellow's going, purple's getting really close, we're good on red, or whatever it might be. And you have people calling out like, I have a purple card, I will play that, you play this, you know, and you're just trying to play these cards down, keeping sand timers flipped over. What's really fun is there's a white sand timer, and there's no cards that have white on them. But if you ever play a card that has a single color, just 1 color, not 2, you can, instead of flipping over that color, you can flip over the white sand timer as well, and that one does need to stay full of sand as well for you to win. If you get rid of all the cards before any sand timer goes out, you win. You had a most successful day at the park flying these kites. If you master the game, which I don't know how you would, you can add in other things that add to the challenge level, like not being able to talk him, to swap cards around, all sorts of stuff like that. It's really, really fun. It's got beautiful art by Beth Sobel. If you have even a second to look at the art, it's just chaos, a really good time. And it's just, again, creates that fun atmosphere of just shouting across the table at people and just throwing down cards as fast as you can. That is kites.
And our favorite real-time game is Rush MD. A game you didn't see on our list is Kitchen Rush. Kitchen Rush was kind of the prequel to Rush MD. It was set in a kitchen. Rush MD, you are in a hospital, and you is a real-time cooperative game, and you are running a hospital. All of your workers, it's a worker placement game as well, all of your workers are sand timers, 30-second sand timers. And so when you go to a worker placement spot, you have to flip your sand timer. Once that sand timer is out, then you can move that worker. So it's this tough mix of putting workers out and then having to wait for them and trying to go do this over here and trying to move that. And this game is, it's weird because it's essentially a big mix of a bunch of little mini games. There is a part of the hospital where you're gonna be bringing people in, and then you bring them in and you kind of have to diagnose them. You have to send them over to get an x-ray. Oh my gosh, it turns out they have a broken bone. But all the different spots where you diagnose them, the MRI, the x-ray, the blood cultures, all that stuff, those are all these little mini games. Oh my gosh, now it turns out they need surgery. So you have to bring them over here and you have to perform surgery, and you have to have, of course, the correct organs in the refrigerator to use, and you have to have the right meds for people. And so it's this big mix of everyone communicating and trying to do all this stuff and trying to make sure there's enough supplies, and they're trying to get the patients what they need to get healed, because if you don't heal them, they're gonna get worse. If they get really, really bad, they can die, and that's not good because you have hospital reputation, and if your reputation goes down to 0, guess what, you lose. And so it's just absolutely bonkers. It's so much fun. There's all these different parts of the hospital that all work differently, and you're all doing this at the same time. And on top of that, there are workers that are doctors and then workers that are nurses. Certain spots only nurses can go to, certain spots only doctors can go to. And so you're constantly moving these things around, moving these things around, moving these things around, going here, doing that, and it's just, it works so well. It is so much fun. And it's one of those games. With Kitchen Rush, we liked Kitchen Rush, but Kitchen Rush was a little bit too hard. It just ended up being kind of like really brutal, and it kind of sapped some of the fun from the game for us. Whereas Rush MD is simultaneously crazier, but more doable at the same time. And it just really just makes this perfect real-time game for us. Real-time, it's a perfect mix of like chaos and like, it's possible to do, basically what I'm getting at. It's so much fun. I love Rush MD so much. We have a couple of the expansions now. There's like a dentistry one and like a maternity ward one. We haven't even tried playing with those yet, but I'm really excited to try them. We love Rush MD. It's our #1.
So those are top 10 real-time games that incorporate the element of real-life time into them. We want to know from you, what are some real-time games that you enjoy?
There's a whole bunch of them,
What makes them tick for you? Yes, we didn't name them all, obviously. These are just the ones that we like.
Yeah, we really like them a lot. They're just a silly fun. They just work, and they can work in like bigger games. A lot of times they work in like a lot of smaller games, but it's a fun, stressful element to add to a game is real time. Yeah,
absolutely. So let us know your picks for real-time games in the comments below. Until next time, I am Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph. That was the best real-time games according to these two dudes.
That's right.
We'll see you all in the next top 10.
Bye.